Water. It's everywhere. 70% of the earth. 97% of that water we can't drink. Fun. Now that the intro is out of the way, let's talk about more depressing things that are going to happen in the world. So you know how the world's population keeps growing? Yeah, that's a bit of a problem for us, because we tend to pollute water and cause global warming. And yes, global warming is a thing. Please admit it. Technically, this is the human race's fault. Sometime in our lifetime, there is going to be a world war about water unless we start making fresh water. We can do that with the 4 methods of desalination. Sadly, there are some issues with these methods. These methods can be very expensive, and desalination makes only 14 million cubic meters of fresh water a day. That may seem like a lot, but it's actually less than 1% of the world's consumption of fresh water. Now, allow me to enlighten you in the processes of desalination. One of the processes is called thermal desalination. This is the oldest method of desalination. This process happens in a desalination plant. First, water is heated in a boiling chamber that is heated from underneath. The water then turns into vapor and rises into a condensing dome, which holds cool water above it. Just like in the water cycle, the water vapor, when it reaches a certain altitude and temperature, or in this case, just temperature, it turns back into water and is collected. Though, since the water is switching states of matter, it is extremely high in energy usage. The second type of desalination is electrical desalination. In this method, electrical currents are used to push ions across a semi-permeable membrane. The downside of this method is that the amount of energy required is based on how much salt is in the water. The next method of desalination is pressure or reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is the same process as electrical desalination, except pressure is used to push ions across a semi-permeable membrane. This also has the same issue as above. The amount of energy used is based on the amount of salt in the water. The fourth and final process I'm going to explain to you is membrane desalination. Hot salt water flows on the side of a semi-permeable membrane, and cold fresh water flows on the other. The water vapor from the hot salt water is drawn to the cold side. The great news about this process is that it uses absolutely no energy to heat the water. Instead of using heat, the process uses nanoparticles to heat up the water. This method has been able to make roughly 6 liters of water per hour. So, now I'm going to show you the first method of desalination that I explained to you. Onward to the kitchen! Hello! Welcome to my kitchen. So, I'm going to show you how you can make your own fresh water from salt water. The first step for me is actually making salt water because I don't really feel like driving to a beach and getting seawater because it's a little too cold for that. There are about 35,000 parts per million of salt in the ocean. I'm only going to be making half a liter, or 500 milliliters, of water. My bad, salt water. And so I'm going to add 17.5 grams of Mediterranean sea salt. We're in the Mediterranean, guys. Okay, hopefully this is all going to dissolve because that's a lot of salt. All right, we'll see you in a little bit. Here we have our water and sea salt, which actually does not only contain sodium chloride, it also has calcium, magnesium, and potassium. Now, We are going to mix it up. Now, this did take a while to dissolve, but as you can see, it did dissolve. If you're ever stuck on a deserted island and you need fresh water, just do it with all the plastic that you find on the beach, because believe me, you will find plastic on the beach because humans suck. So I'm just taking what is heavy-duty plastic and putting it over some bottles so it doesn't touch the top, and then condensation happens, and then the water will condense on the plastic, and then it will eventually fall into a little tray that you're using to collect the water. And now you have made fresh water, and that is the process of desalination.